Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this CTN event sponsored by ASIFA-Hollywood. This is called the Animation Educators Forum. And the forum started, trying to remember how many years ago. I think it was almost 20 now, I think. Aubrey, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that sounds about right. 2003, 2004, how's that feel?
2003. Okay. Yeah. So it's about 17 years ago. And basically, it was just an idea that, there once was a time when animation was only being taught in just a few schools. There was a couple one. I mean, when I was in college in the 70s, I remember there was like the Cal Arts program, and there was the program at Sheridan and the program at School of Visual Arts in New York, and a little bit at NYU. And I think that was it for the United States, and Canada. Now it's being taught so liberally. It's everywhere. It's all, so many places around the world, and it's a universal language. And we just realized that animators get together and talk all the time, and special effects people get together and talk all the time. How come animation teachers don't talk to each other? Everybody's kind of secretive about their curriculum and all. So we thought it'd be fun just to have a forum, just to just to share notes and just talk to one another. And the thing that we've found in common is that no matter where we are in the world, we have these common issues of teaching animation to students, and animation is a universal language. And unfortunately, this year, COVID is a universal pandemic. And so we're all dealing with exactly the same issues, no matter where we are. So we thought the theme of this year's panel at CTN was just how we're all coping with COVID. So I'd like to introduce our panel here. Now this is an open discussion. And, we're not going to be lecturing or anything like that. God knows folks have probably had enough of that. But I'll introduce our panel and we'll start the conversation. But if you would like to contribute, or you'd like to say something, you could either write something in the Q&A or raise your hand, and, we'll raise your hand symbol, and I'll recognize you, and you'll be unmuted. So just to introduce the panel here, we have which was Monica Salter from which was from the University of Texas. I myself, I'm from the which was the University of Southern California. We also have Lee Crow from the Savannah College of Design. We have Aubrey Mintz, who is the Dean of Art at Cal State Long Beach.
Director of the School of Art.
Director of School of Art. Okay, Dean sounds very serious though.
It sounds a little too serious for me. I'm
very sexy. That's right. That's it.
I can't do that.
Okay. Which good. We also have Frank Gladstone. And Frank, where are you teaching these days? At Woodbury?
No, I'm teaching at the same school. Aubrey's my boss at
okay.
Cal State Long Beach.
All right, good. Okay, and we have Mike Libinati from East LA College, and we have Mike, whose last name I keep forgetting how to pronounce correctly. Bonitatis. There you go. See, this is Hollywood, man. You got to have a Hollywood name. You got to change your name to like Rock Johnson.
Okay, sure.
Like Wally LaStar. Anyway, because I got a last name like Cito. What the hell, WordPerfect keeps changing my name from Tom Cito to Tomato. Drives me crazy. That's whatever. Anyway, and you're at Cal State Northridge?
Cal State Northridge and Cal State Fullerton. Yep.
And Cal State Fullerton. Okay, cool. And and Patrick Dupre. And Patrick, where are you teaching these days?
Palos Verdes Art Center.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's our main panel here. And like I said, I see a lot of old friends, among the group and all, and some new friends. And any of you, if you find what we do interesting and everything, and you want to get involved, just let us know. Because again, this is a pretty loose organization. We don't have hazing rituals or rites of initiation or anything like that. So,
Wait a minute, you told me we had hazing rituals.
It's
You're Frank.
what do they know?
yeah. So, anyway, so just to start off and everything, just throw out a round question. So, how is your school in particular coping with the COVID crisis? I'll start off by saying that at the University of Southern California, our president, Carol Folt, has been very aggressive from the beginning, jumping on top of this and sort of locking down the campus. And Carol's only been president for about a year or so, because she was originally at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And then she came out and everything to be president of USC. But she was not fooling around with this thing. She locked down the campus. And I think in 8 months, I think I've only visited my office like once. And we're doing everything on Zoom, now. But I know that talking to other educators, some educators are kind of running into that problem of where the school wants to stay open, So I'm just curious how you guys are dealing with it. So why don't I start with like Aubrey? How's your group doing?
As a director of the School of Art, I now have about 1,800 students and 12 programs. So I'll speak beyond. Bless you. Bless you, Bill or Sue. I'll speak beyond just animation. I used to run the animation program, but now overseeing all the programs, we have to think about the needs of 3D and 2D and all the areas. So we have about 95% of our courses remote, and that happened immediately in March. It was about 2 weeks of transition, and I was just amazed at how quickly that was able to happen. You think about remote teaching, and I don't know about the other schools, but we have this training program and you have to propose it within curriculum it takes about 2 years to get in. So this was just like eye-opening that all these courses and all these students and all these faculty could just hop online and figure it out. So in some ways it was a great success. We did it safely. But then you have courses like ceramics. They have to use the kilns, printmaking. They've got these large equipment. And how do you do all this stuff online? Some faculty were very inventive. One in printmaking purchased a bunch of pasta makers, and they actually had them do these screen prints through the pasta makers. And that was a brilliant way to say, let's keep it safe, let's keep it at home. But of course, there's other equipment the students just need, like wood shops and large equipment. So it's a painful process because it has to go through several layers of approval and all at once. So right now we're actually planning for fall 2021, and it has to go through the dean and then the provost, and we're talking about maybe again 5 to 10% of the classes. So what I'm finding, what's happening is everyone is feeling overwhelmed horribly. And it's not just the students, which are, sometimes from their own homes. All of them from their own homes, but like imagine being a 20-something and you've got your parents there and you've got your siblings there. Some of them don't even have the cameras or the right setup, the internet access. So it's incredibly frustrating. We're seeing more students drop out than normal and by huge numbers. Faculty fatigue is huge. I think faculty are used to doing what they normally do in the face-to-face, and our faculty, like many of you, are just so good at what they do. They want the best success for their students, but the reality is you just can't do what you can do in face-to-face. So that expectation has to change, and you have to kind of see, this scenario. So it's kind of it's a mixed bag. We've been able to get more funding because of the CARES Stimulus Act. To buy a bunch of equipment to help students at home, but that's all run out now. So we're kind of going into this new, era of 2021 with big question marks about how it's going to move forward.
Great. Okay. Anybody else want to jump in and everything? So, what's happened in your particular schools?
Well, I teach at Aubrey School. We'll talk more about that. But the one thing I can add is that in my class, which is a history of animation class, I was told this semester that next semester I will also be teaching virtually as well. So as we open up, when the vaccine happens, he said, knocking on wood, I'm still going to be teaching virtually. We'll talk more about the vicissitudes of that later.
I think Aubrey touched on an important element, which is the tech divide, the digital divide, also being part of the LA Community College District. That's a lot of students, East LA is 25,000, and allowing people to have access to what they need to complete these courses, I think now is going to be our biggest challenge, at least for us.
Okay. Get the Lee, what's happening at SCAD right now?
We're still all virtual in the animation department. And similar to what Aubrey was saying, there are some fine art departments and classes that can't be virtual. I have a friend who's retired from the fibers department, and that's cloth making, and you have to have a big giant loom. Every student has to have a big giant loom. So there's a room full of those. And that class is, but they're all 6 feet apart. And that class is one of the few that's not being taught virtually, but all of animation is. My virtual background is the lobby of the building that I would be working in if I was working in a building. But I've only been able to go over there a couple of times to pick up tech stuff. So they're being very strict, very, very strict. They send us an email every single day, which we don't have to fill this form out every single day, but they send us an email every single day saying, are you healthy? Did you go to the campus today? Did you visit a building? Very, very strict. And I'm glad, because bringing politics into it a little bit, we did just flip blue, but we were a blue city in a red state. So compliance is not popular around here. So SCAD's bucking the political system a little bit by being so strict.
I've heard stories about I think like Notre Dame tried to just open and just like everything was normal, and then the COVID cases like shot up, and then they shut down just as quickly. And there was a meme going around the social media where it said plans for opening schools this year. It's like step 1, open schools. Step 2, oh shit. Step 3, close schools. It's just awful and everything. Yeah. So Monica, how about your school? How's that?
Honestly, UT Dallas has a pretty, because they also shut down like your school, Tom, and we have what they're calling modalities. So as faculty, we get to choose one of 5 modalities, and one of them is face-to-face. And I do know that 2 of our animation faculty have chosen face-to-face for their courses. However, they have to teach it twice as often because they're limited in the number of students in the classroom. Something else that has really been kind of a strain for us as faculty is we're all, by mandate, we are required to have all classes be asynchronous on top of whatever we're teaching. So if you have a face-to-face, you have to have an asynchronous option for that class as well. So we had a lot of it's almost like doubling the work for the faculty, because not only are they doing their normal lecture, but they're also making sure that they're creating quality lectures and materials for their asynchronous students as well. So that's been a real challenge for us, just going from a regular lecture or lab class to now figuring out how to teach 2 completely different groups of students in the same class. So that's kind of, the university's been really great with faculty as far as it's up to us if we want to do virtual, online, or face-to-face. But that addition of the asynchronous has probably been the biggest challenge for us.
We have an issue. We have an issue also in that we let students work in a variety of media, and as long as everything's been done on tablets and Cintiqs and all, it's been okay. But we did have some students who want to do stop mo, and stop mo requires you being on a stage or something, and I think I think the way our school's been organizing it now is that they've been trying to work out appointment times where you could spend a couple of hours at the stop motion stage, and you would be the only one there. But you have to set up for an appointment, and kind of stick strictly to that time, which is very restrictive on your the amount of time you can do, because stop motion requires many hours in order to do stuff. But the students are trying to cope with that right now. Mike? Mike L? What do you think?
Well, we're seeing also like our new motion capture suits. We can't use those. Our 3D printers, which are nice laser stereoscopic printers. They're kind of, it's like having all this equipment that we got for new programs and not being able to use it, which I think is frustrating for you're trying to figure out, okay, how do you teach some of these classes without having that stuff, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, I see a hand's gone up and everything. Somebody wanted to say something, so we get in. So
can I just speak to something Monica said?
Sure.
With is the workload issue. I sat in on a Zoom yesterday from the union at Cal State, and this is becoming obviously a massive issue about. It's like the expectation on the faculty just to kind of keep up. And I don't know how it is for your schools, but protocol is changing constantly. So, I mean, it really, it comes to, the deans, and it comes to the directors, and it goes right to the faculty. Well, this is what we're doing today. As Lee was saying, getting new emails each day. But that it also equates to changing what you're doing, which equates to more workload. So, I think it's important, I think, for all faculty to really think, even though we want to play nice and do what's required, of course, what's safe, we have to think of our own health, because, I have several faculty right now who are just already burning out, since March, and it's not doing them any good to like stay up 12, 14 hours trying to get everything they need to be completed for one set of assignments, and then, the asynchronous stuff as well. So, the reality is, and what I'm trying to communicate to people is, it's not going to be 100%. It's not going to be the best semesters of the students' lives necessarily. And that's kind of a reality I think we all have to face, which is difficult for teachers to swallow, because we want to do what's best and effective for our students. But in the long run, if we're all being shut down, that's not best and effective either.
Yeah.
Aubrey, on that note too, additionally with the asynchronous, we have since we're doing so many recordings, we have the closed captioning requirement to make sure that we are compliant. So on top of the recordings, we also have to go through and check all of our scripting and make sure that is all appropriate and up with the recordings as well, which is a whole nother job on top of just recording the lectures. So we definitely, our faculty are very dedicated to the students, but there is a point where they're like, something's got to give. And I feel like probably those are the things where are probably not as good as they could be. But
yeah, I know that I know an example of one educator who was telling me that his university basically just ordered their campus open and ordered his people to have face-to-face meetings with students, and the students are calling in sick because they're not stupid. Like they don't want to do this. So he's getting like a handful. But then, I thought if that happened to me, it's like I'm over 60 and I'm overweight and pre-diabetic, and it's like I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to risk my life. So when this so far this system is functioning, it's not the greatest, but in the emergency and everything, it works. But I wonder how people are handling that type of that kind of problem, so I have a statement here which was somebody typed in, was it Wob Koenig said, our union managed to keep high flex synchronous and synchronous at the same time out of requirements, luckily. So that's one. So what type of this is Zoom, but I know I was talking with some folks. Some universities use was it a Google Groups thing, and someone's have a Microsoft group and everything. Do you guys have like a special program that you like beyond Zoom?
I can mention something.
Yeah.
That we found through the students, actually, they've come to us and it's been a great resource, is Discord. I don't know if some of you guys use that or not, but
Yeah.
it's actually, like a gaming chat room. But what's nice about it is you're able to give constant feedback, and there's always that open room because, like students are like, when is your, hours that you could be available? Well, I have it open all the time. I'm able to chat on it from texting, from the phone, give feedback. And it bridges that gap where you normally wouldn't have that much communication with your students. And I'm also seeing that they're getting a lot of communication with each other through it as well. So it's been a very, very useful thing for especially production team classes that are run. And I think it's great to have.
Yeah, we've been using that a lot too. It's become a lifesaver because teachers, we have offices over there, but we can't go to them. I have a nice cubicle with a Cintiq and I can't go to it. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So everything's out of my house, and they've advised us, don't give your personal phone number away.
Yeah.
So like, well, I'm gonna forget to check the messages on that phone that I never see, So Discord has proven to be like a way that they can get in touch with me quickly because they can't call me on the phone.
Yeah, Michael had shown me Discord, and it works really well. Also, if people are having trouble with Zoom, it's just more efficient in terms of getting audio and other things. For those who are just stuck and they're like, I just don't have the internet where I am. So it's good.
We got some hands up and everything. I see Bill Croyer from Chapman University wants to chime in. Bill, are you there?
I am. Yeah, I was just going to say that we switched. You can all hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we switched to online pretty seamlessly, and the students have reacted really well. We've had full attendance, everybody's been finishing all their assignments. Since we work digitally on everything, we can still do drawovers and review stuff, and so technically there really has been no change in a lot of ways in the interaction other than just flesh and blood versus digital. Our administration definitely is anxious to get everybody back on campus, for financial reasons. And so our faculty has been kind of expressing Tom Cito's viewpoint, and that is that we're not feeling like the health risk is gone yet. And so we're resisting doing that. So far, they haven't insisted on it. And currently our spring semester is supposed to be online. Our live action school has had some classes that have actually rejoined in person, the ones that had to be, like cinematography, where you need to use equipment and lighting equipment stuff. They've actually found ways to do that with social distancing. And my visual effects majors in my program have just recently had their live action film shoots approved. And they're pretty strict, they follow the guidelines of SAG and everything, and they're for location shooting. And so they're starting to proceed with those. The two things about it that I think were surprising to me were, number one, our animation club has been really active online with all the freshmen. And the freshmen have expressed to me that they've actually, they have, believe it or not, they've had this bonding with the upperclassmen, which we'd love to see, even in an online world. And I've had students tell me that they feel closer to their upperclassmen at our school than they did in high school in 4 years of personal contact. So that was a nice thing. But the one thing I do notice that's really missing from this is that hanging out in the labs and helping each other out, which is, I think, is such an important part of the college experience. We educators provide what we can, but you can never underestimate what your students provide to each other. The advanced students really pull the other students along. If they run into a blockage or a question or something, and somebody just walks by and they can grab them and say, can you help me with this? That's the one thing I think that our students really miss from being able to be there in person. We actually philosophize sometimes that this online thing may be going too well. We've had an unbelievable parade of industry guests visit our classes online this semester, like record setting, because you can get anybody, right?
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
But the downside of that is that look, kids want to hang out together. They want to be out of their house. They don't want to be in their bedroom. So I think, I feel that we're all pretty safe that real universities will continue, even though this online thing has been a special chapter here, which hasn't been a disaster for us, I will say. But on the other hand, I guess we're all looking forward to the day we can get back there.
Yeah, yeah. I see another hand up, Agnes Wojcik. You want to unmute her? So.
I think she can unmute.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. You can unmute yourself. So. Agnes, did you want to say anything? No. Okay. We'll go to the next one. Edward, are you up?
Yeah, I'm up.
Can you say what school you are?
Yeah, I'm a graduate, 2016 graduate from DigiPen Institute of Technology from Washington State.
Oh, great.
So I just want to ask, what since the pandemic has started, what do you guys do to keep yourself, inspired?
I drink a little.
That's a good question. Well, that's the old Hollywood solution. That's like, but that's true. That's true. It's a difficulty. I think that just me personally speaking, and that is just that when I began my career in animation, I was fortunate that I had some very good teachers who were from Hollywood's golden age, like Arthur Babbitt of Disney, and Richard Williams and Ben Washam from Warner Brothers, and they gave so much of themselves to young people. They really didn't have to, but they did it because they felt like they wanted this medium to move on to future generations, and the things that they developed and they discovered, they didn't want to die with them. They wanted it to pay it forward. So I always feel like when I'm teaching, I'm paying them back. I'm repaying my debt for them giving me a career and a livelihood. Because I was like, the son of a Brooklyn fireman. What did I know about movies or Hollywood or anything like that? And so that's sort of the thing that kind of keeps me going and all. I don't know what anybody else want to chime in, any kind of stuff. So
I can name two things.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Bill Troyer from Chapman. I'll tell you two things keep me inspired. Number one, I'm still getting a paycheck, which a lot of people unfortunately are not, and I never ever take that for granted. But the other thing specifically is Sync Sketch. I don't know if you guys use that.
Oh,
but
I use that.
But Sync Sketch is the way that your students submit your work to you, and you can draw over it. You can make notes on it. It's as sophisticated as any dailies program. And to me, that's Christmas morning. Every time I get a Sync Sketch scene from one of my kids, and I see their work, and I see their animation, or I see their design, or I see their compositions or something, and I'm able to sit there and help them out and go over it and make little comments and stuff. Look, that's what we're here for. That's what it's all about. And so that's it. That's what keeps me inspired to do this.
Because it's a lecture class. I teach a lecture class, so I've got more than 100 students. I don't see them, and I miss that a lot. So what keeps me inspired, because the class is actually easier in one way to do it and much harder in other ways to do it, is at the end of the class, students thank me. Every time it's time to, see you next week, I have a bunch of students thank me. So I know they've been on the whole time rather than getting on and then going off and playing a video game somewhere. And they say thank you. And that makes me feel like the class is working and I can continue on.
Great. Aubrey, you wanted to get?
Yeah, we, to hit on actually what Bill and Frank just said, it's kind of a slightly different issue. We formed a committee called the Inclusive Excellence Committee to really deal with this moment in time and how to change kind of anti-racism in our structure of our institution. But what came forward, and several issues related to racism came forward, and we had these listening sessions where the students just spoke and we just listened. And what came forward was actually at the heart of it, this feeling of isolation. and during the COVID time. And it's really just taken over everything, of course. So like to Bill's point, and to Frank's point about just people like thanking, and I think they just want to feel heard and connected and feel connected. So it was just kind of like lights on when all of it came down to that, of they're just feeling isolated and need to be spoken to, or a community. They basically need a community. So that's what we're doing to kind of inspire each other.
That's good. That's
Cool. I got one.
Sure.
I as recently as July was still in Los Angeles, and last some spring semester I was working for Cal State Northridge and College of Canyons when we all went into lockdown, and then I got this job across the country. So it's pretty interesting to move across the country during a pandemic.
Yeah.
I packed my stuff in June and July. I just got it last Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So I borrowed a Cintiq, and my office has been in my dining room because my dining set's the only new furniture I have. And it's really been like a duct tape. It's been a duct tape quarter, I gotta tell you. But once I got on the Cintiq, even though it was uncomfortable, I was having to stand up and it wasn't high enough. But once I got on there and started drawing over students' work and animating or reanimating or talking about facial structure, that I lost all track of time and got into the flow, and I felt like, God, this is why I do this.
that's great. That's good. I got an interesting question here, came up from Steve Leeper. He writes, Discord has been awesome on so many levels. Unfortunately, we haven't found a way to screen work as it drops frames. Does anyone have a solution for screening work?
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually, I sort of have a solution. I'll share my screen and I'll play the work,
yeah.
and we all expect that it's going to glitch, but then the student will post in the chat. They'll post a Google link, and they'll make up a simple password like 1, 2, 3. So then each student can pull up the animation on their own computer, and it'll play better.
Yeah.
It's one way around that.
Yeah. We've been doing that, reviewing senior work and stuff. Just doing a link like that with a password. So
Usually, if you can play the video, in other words, if I have my students upload it to, say, Dropbox or Box, and they can play it from there, then it's going pretty smoothly. Plus, you can optimize smooth for on Zoom. There's a setting to optimize it as well. You might want to try that, so you can get a better frame rate and resolution of the videos as they're playing. That seems to be working pretty good.
yeah. I think let's see, Kati Angelov, which wrote here. I think the biggest issue is keeping the students stimulated and interested via Zoom. If you guys have found some cool ways to keep them involved and interactive, other than breakout rooms, I'm interested to hear. What do you think? Yeah, Patrick, go ahead.
Well, I know personally, I kind of call them out. I have them raise their hand and I say, okay, could you explain to us how you're handling this and that kind of thing. But we have a different setup here. It's pretty much live classes through Zoom, and the teachers have their camera setups and they work from there, or they work from home. So we're seeing the students, and it's much smaller sizes than any of yours. So just asking them, how's everything going for you? In fact, some of the other teachers have the students hold their work right up to their cameras, because a lot of them are doing it from their little cell phones, or they're doing it from an iPad. So each person, and some of the other instructors set up a time. Okay, at this time, you're going to show me this work. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I keep a little color erase marker and a little thing here, and I'll just
right.
really quick.
Yeah, it's a little bit different here than what some of you are facing, but yeah.
Etch-a-Sketch works good.
Yeah, I'm an old-fashioned guy. Give me a break.
Light bright.
One of the things I do, which is funny, is a couple of the classes rather long. A couple of times I don't tell them when I'm going to do it. I put a poll in, and the poll asks a question about what's going on in class, and they don't have to answer it correctly. In fact, I put in gag answers too. You know, Alfred Hitchcock is a great animator, things like that. But the poll, I kind of go, hey kids, what time is it? It's time for a poll. And then it's short, it's a break from the lecture. They like it. It's a gag. I also see if they're actually paying attention, because I do ask a question about what we just talked about. That helps. And if you tell a couple of jokes, that's good. And for my class, I let them leave their mics open. If they want, well, if they want to talk, they can interrupt.
Yeah.
So I also ask them questions. What do you think about this? And I'll get, even though it's a big class, I'll get pretty nice responses. So that kind of keeps them active.
Yeah, I had some experience early. I mean, the school has had some experience early on with Zoom bombing, but I think it was kind of I don't know, like nothing like that happened in my courses. I mean, I had a lecture class with like 67 students, you know, doing, you know, about digital history. And I never really had anything like that happen. I heard some of the other, but not in the cinema school, you know, maybe it's the other parts of the university, but you know, I think it's like people got more worried about it than it was worth, but I don't know.
I had one or two at the very beginning, back when the lockdown started, and everybody had to kind of, that week when everybody had to jump online, I had a couple of them. The other thing that's happened a couple of times is somebody's left their mic open, and they've been talking.
Yeah, the hot mic stuff. Yeah.
So I asked them to keep their mics off. Unless they want to ask a question, then it's perfectly fine to flip it on and ask a question, or you know, get into the conversation.
My old comrade Fraser McLean, who's teaching in Mexico City, wrote here. He says, one positive knock-on effect of the movement of teaching online here in Mexico has been the opportunity to open up classes on essential animation subjects, not only to students on other campuses, but also to professionals across Latin America. By liaising with the SAE Mexico online department, anyone in, for example, Honduras, El Salvador, Brazil, who missed out on the kind of animation education that's currently only available in the big cities can tune in, which is great.
That's good.
That's a great thing. Yeah. I noticed, like, before the lockdown, we were getting, you know, USC gets a lot of international students. In the last few years, we've gotten a lot of, number of students from Colombia and from Brazil and from Argentina. You know, there's a lot of great artists there and stuff. So, you know, they just need an outlet, you know, so. Cool. Let's see. Let's see. Valerie Latera too said, I have a suggestion to view animation clips online and everything. Can we unmute Valerie? Is she around there?
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Wonderful. Hello, everybody. So I'm Valerie Latera-Splitzer from UCLA Animation Workshop, where I teach One Maya class. And what I've discovered is most students have Netflix and everybody has access to YouTube, and they have a plugin on Chrome to do a YouTube party or a Netflix party. And you just go to the link as a teacher, you get the link, you put that into your Zoom chat. And then what happens is when the students join that, you control the time slider. So you can play an animation clip if it's on Netflix or YouTube, and you can control where it is in the timeline. And then they can also take that and control the timeline to rewind, to go back to a portion of it to talk further. So it's a way to all share in an interactive playing experience with each of those two, YouTube or Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. We have another question from Wob Koenig. He says, how do you handle the handing in of physical assignments? I had my students film their flipbooks with their phones with mixed success. Well, we do that many physical ones, and I think everything we've been doing has been digital. So
when I was at College of the Canyons last spring, and we went virtual basically during spring break. We had a lot of students who just didn't have the equipment. They didn't, if they had a computer, it might not be strong enough to handle the software. and so on. We ran into a lot of problems with that. So I had to kind of rewrite my assignments, and I did have them doing traditional assignments, pencil and paper. So I didn't have anybody doing any conventional animation, but I did have them doing conventional still artwork like storyboards and character designs. And I would just get them to, if they didn't have a scanner, they had to photograph it with their phone. And I gave them some hints for how to photograph it professionally and light it well and cut the edges off and turn it in that way.
True. Good. So I was thinking too, like, how do you guys coping with student burnout? Because I know the students are like really exhausted by all this. I mean, it's been going on all year, and we just got we got the word recently that we're going to stay virtual through the spring, but this is going to end someday, but how do you handle like just morale things, just with students just being kind of exhausted?
I think sometimes breakout rooms, and I'm also finding students don't want to leave the class. They just want to hang out, which hadn't happened as much before, but I think they find it's like a space where if they're interacting, it works out well.
Oh, one of my cats is visiting. So.
I can say at UT Dallas, I think there's just a general policy of being as compassionate as possible during this time. So they've definitely opened up policies for not extensions, but like incompletes, right? We used to have a very strict policy on incompletes. They've adjusted it so that there's more of that available, because you're right, like students halfway through the semester, we'll have students that drop off and then come back just on this last week or whatever, and still want to complete, but have been just struggling in general with just the overwhelming of everything that's happening now. So I guess for us, we just always have talked, the conversations we have as faculty is just leaning on the compassionate side for students. If their assignments are a week late, is that really the end of the world? How are you, is it more important that they're learning, or is it more important that they've turned in their assignment on time? So I feel like as faculty, we've been doing a lot of that on a per class basis of just understanding that they're as burned out as we are, and just trying to relate to that and give them, within the university policies, as much compassion as we can and leeway on those assignments. So that's kind of how we're dealing with individual student burnout, because it's real.
I agree, because a lot of the families, I've had multiple students that have gotten COVID, and the entire family has gotten it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, we had.
Yeah, and I know like USC has always had a high number of students that are international. Like we have like a lot of, and a lot of them, if they haven't just gone home and stayed there and everything, we're stuck here for a while, are like usually like 2 or 3 to an apartment and everything. And I guess they're all kind of making each other nut crazy after a while, because you want to, young people, you want to get out and you want to do things, so it's been an uphill, about just keeping their morale up. So it's true. Cool. So I was curious too. This is another thing, and sorry for my cat Mochi here. Was it W.C. Fields used to say, "Never act opposite kids and animals." But anyway, this thing is going to end someday, and everything. Pandemics usually go about a year or so, and in terms of intensity. So hopefully by this time next year, we'll back, knock wood, we'll be somewhere back to normal. Once we go back to like a more of a normal schedule, what do you think you're going to keep from this experience?
I kind of think what'll happen is we'll go back to normal schedule, and then we'll all start complaining about how tough it is to teach in person. And wasn't it great back when we were on Zoom all the time? That's a lie. I just thought I'd throw it in there.
Yeah. I'll tell you, myself, I have to take the LA freeways in order to get down to my campus, and I don't miss that.
Right.
I don't miss the traffic jams. So
The time we're spending not driving and the money we're saving on gas.
yeah.
That you have to put a positive spin on it, because taking advantage of that time is key. And now it's like, wow, I didn't have it before, so that's a gift.
Yeah, my dry cleaners put out like morning. It's a because I don't think I've laundered a shirt in a couple of months. It's like,
I might continue to wear Birkenstocks with socks in public. It's too darn comfortable.
For me, I'm wearing it right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of it will also have to do with the institutions, right? I mean, once they see that they can have a wider range of students, I know that's what we're facing here at the Palos Verde Arts Center, is now people don't have to come to the physical campus. We can do some of these classes online, so it opens up the student base. It might not generally be up to us in some cases. Do you know what I mean? We might be required in some way to be teaching some of these if the enrollment's too low.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might change the animation business overall when people figure out that they don't have to live in a specific city to work in animation anymore.
Yeah. It kind of started with the Studio Illumination, who did Despicable Me and the Minions movies.
Right.
Like even before the lockdown happened, they were already doing this COVID, a networking production, where like they had artists in the Northwest United States and in New England and in Quebec and in Europe, and they were all working, basically online and networking the production together. And the directors were in Los Angeles, and and of course, Despicable Me and the Minions things were like great successes. So that kind of sort of started a pattern, but now the lockdowns kind of accelerated that with a lot of people working from home. So
I think it's taken the fear out of online teaching for a lot of us. Beforehand, to think about there's people that are traditional brick and mortar people, and online was always this kind of mysterious thing. So now it's kind of like, well, this is possible. We can see what we can do. For some, it's more effective in other ways. Different types of conversations can happen now, as opposed to just the traditional show up, show your assignment, and get feedback. So and I think from the Cal State perspective, they've always been moving towards a little bit more of an online model. It helps financially. I think the president of the Cal State Long Beach wanted, where we have like 35,000 students on campus, they want ultimately to have 70,000 students enrolled, and online was a major part of that. So I think that's, it's a benefit, I think. But I also wanted to respond to Jacob's comment here, recommendations for isolated people to find community.
Oh yeah.
I think our group here, the Animation Educators Forum, when it started way back in the early 2000s, I think we had 5 to 10 people attending meetings, and now we have over 200. Any of us can pipe up, but any concern and the community comes forward. Several emails a day, which is amazing to see. We're trying to do more and more things to involve students as well. I run a animation contest called 24 Hours Animation Contest for Students that a lot of people here have participated in. And I think this year was eye-opening for it because it allowed people to connect, through the pandemic. And although like the attendance wasn't as massive as it was the year before, it was still like 1,000 students. And what was really great was the studios and the sponsors really stepped up. As Bill was saying, we can get a lot more people now that we're online. I think people are looking for more and more ways to support these kind of initiatives to connect. And it's just so wonderful to see that, the communities come together and share in our problems that we're all having. So that was wonderful.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that's improved too, just in time for this pandemic, is that these chat room, you know, these social networking rooms and all are much better technologically speaking than they used to be. Because I remember, like, when I was working at DreamWorks in the 1990s, and they were first starting these kind of video conferencing. It looked like you were calling the Mir space station, you know, because you call somebody and they would go. You know, like that.
Right.
And now you can actually hear everybody, you know, which is like nice, you know, in real time. So that's
One
great.
of the things I'm going to do is, because I'm an adjunct and I'm not on campus, but I'm teaching, but 1 day a week, I'm going to use Zoom for office hours, so students can get in touch with me when they issue or a problem, and I won't have to rely on email anymore. And unless they're not willing to do it, but I'm going to offer students office hours on Zoom.
Yeah, I've done directed studies, like one-on-one with students, you know, and we have a set time where they clock in and everything, and then you know, they can meet with me and talk about their stuff. So yeah, I think the stress for the students also is that, you know, at that age, you know, at the age that they're at, you know, a lot of you are dealing with college level, you know, university level students, and you know, you remember, you know, at that age, everything is life and death, and everything's dramatic, and you know, and they think this is going to be forever, you know, and it's not forever. It's like an invisible hurricane, you know. It's going to pass, you know, eventually. You know, it'll take a while and all, but it isn't like the way things are going to be for the rest of their lives. And I think just trying to keep their spirits up while all this is going on, you know, while still playing it, while still being safe, because there is that burnout factor where people just get tired and they want to, you know, they want to socialize. Okay, do we have any other stuff here? Let's see what else is going here. Let's see. Brittany, you had a couple of things there and everything. Did you want to pipe in? I see. Oh, there you are. Hey,
Tom.
Yay, University of Hawaii. Yay.
Yeah, that's right. Aloha.
Cool. Aloha.
So yeah, no, I was just mentioning the VPN that has seemed to work pretty well for us, allowing students to kind of grab access for that. It's just, I guess the only challenge with that is normally we do collect lab fees. And so we did have to do something where we gave students an option of like a tiered level of lab fees. So for the students who did have all the software, they could pay like a lower level and just have access to like our music software and library. But then for other students who wanted the full lab fees, that would allow them to get the VPN access. But yeah, that's kind of the main kind of help that's helped there.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And like Bill was saying before, you know, one of the other advantages now too is that, you know, that thing of getting guest speakers personally. Like I've gotten a lot of requests now from different you know, universities and stuff around the world, because it used to be when you got a guest speaker, you had to like fly them in and put them up at a hotel and do the whole rigmarole and thing to get them here. And now you can just go, yeah, you know. So I've given talks at the University of Islamabad and the university in London, and you know, and another one in Vancouver. So, and you know, and you just, you know, and getting them for an hour or something, you know, you'll find is a lot easier than doing like a big visit kind of thing. Although I would like to come visit you in Hawaii, so that's that would be
I would
nice.
love that too. I'd love, yeah, you're welcome anytime.
Okay. Okay. So we're getting to the hour and everything. Does anybody have any closing remarks they'd like to say or any kind of thing? What do you think? Yeah. Brittany, did you want to say something? I see you lit up. So, no? Okay.
I was just typing an answer to Paul Lang.
Mm-hmm.
The question was, what do you do when students don't have reliable internet? And the best that we've figured out to do is to record the Zoom session and they can watch it later, which means that they do need an internet eventually, but it solves the problem of if they have a last minute internet or even like a week-long problem that their internet is down. They're still allowed to watch the Zoom and then write a little document commenting to prove that they attended, and we'll count them present when they do that.
To flip that from the faculty side, we actually set up studios here. I have a whole setup around me. That's why you got this gray background.
Yeah.
Where the instructors, because they didn't have reliable internet at home, because it's only one person coming in, we come in and isolate them, and then they run the Zoom lab from here, and they can swap between cameras, because we have a document camera here, and then we have an easel camera over there that they can swap between the two, so they can go either place. But that was how we got around it on the instructor side, not on the student side. But on the instructor side, we set it up and invited them to come here.
On UT Dallas, they actually set up, it was kind of cool. They definitely had the same internet issues, and they set up one of the parking garages as a hotspot hub. So if the internet at home is not working, the least you could drive up, still be safe, stay in your car, and access the university internet. So then you could watch your class as long as it wasn't, something where you needed to actually do lab-based work, but they could sign up with on their phones, worst case scenario, but also their laptops, anything that was portable. And I thought that was a really great idea for them to help with some of those low access areas.
I've had a few issues with so many students. Number one, I can't show the recording. Although I do record the sessions, I can't show them because there's a fair usage issue I use a lot of clips and films.
Yeah.
And then having the possibility that a student will put them online or do something like that. And plus, sometimes the students show up or their names show up on the Zoom recording, and that's a privacy issue. So what I'm thinking, I actually have to consult a lawyer about the fair usage issue, because it's fair usage in my class, but it's not fair usage when it goes online.
Yeah, that's a danger. Yeah.
That's a problem. And then I was thinking about doing a class without any students in it, just recording a class as if I was talking to students. So there'd be no students, and I'd have a library of those that I could show to the students. But it is an issue. It's an issue for us. It's the hardest one I'm dealing with as far as trying to get an answer.
Yeah. I know that in my history, my digital history, lecture course, I would show like a lot of movie clips and all. But I would wind up generally like I think our recording, the recordings that we show our international students and all is a closed network, that they could log into, like Trojan television or something. But it isn't. I mean, with that lecture class, I used to show like long films and all, and I can't really do that now. So I just send them links, and invite them to watch the films at their leisure. So. Okay. Well, anyway, we're getting to the hour right now, so I want to thank everybody thank everybody for attending and all. This has been fun. And again, like I said, our organization, the Animation Educators Forum, is like I said, it's an informal group and all. And if you'd like to participate or get more involved and everything, we'd love to have you. And again, it's not any one kind of agenda or anything. It's just animation teachers comparing notes and just swapping ideas and trends. So I want to thank everybody and for attending, and hope you had hope you have a great week, have a great holiday season, and keep healthy. Take care of yourself and all. And let's hope for better times. And good luck to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for doing this, guys. Nice to see you all.
Really enjoyed it.
Everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.